Hello, everyone. My name is Chasity Wright. I am the founder and CTO of Infiltron software suite. We are excited about being a part of AI Expo Africa. To the delegates watching this and the people watching this, make sure you meet me in the speaker lounge after my presentation for more Q&A time. So let's get into it. If you're not familiar with my startup Infiltron software suite, I have an animated video here to give you some use cases as to where we integrate our software.
John's doctor of many years server is hacked, and now someone is using John's insurance policy. While waiting for his food, John's Uncle Walter forwards him a text that collects app emails and passwords. The waiter that took John's order at lunch tries to use John's credit card to go on a shopping spree later that night. John is a commercial pilot and his plane gets hijacked. Infiltron sends a message to air traffic control and the plane is landed safely at the nearest airport. John's home router loses network connectivity due to a power outage, but John is okay because the service provider has Infiltron to protect all his devices even when there is no connectivity. Infiltron empowers people and businesses to proactively secure their data and devices in real time.
So there you saw two scenarios for as an individual needing cybersecurity using biometrics, because we start with biometrics. We don't use any authentication methods that have been compromised. So no two-factor, but what you see there is two mobile application, because we do have a mobile application entity, and we have a B2B side, which is what you saw with the airport, and the ISP, the internet service provider, has Infiltron installed on this business system, and is providing John security of his devices when there's a power outage. So we wanted to display where we can integrate in personal life as well as on the business side. And we primarily focus on business side, but I'm here to discuss with you how to provide cybersecurity and racial equality in biometric technology. So the social responsibility aspect of Infiltron is to mitigate risk around race and gender bias in technology, and even more so around biometric technologies. So to understand the topic, let's start with defining keywords: cybersecurity, racial equality, and biometric technology. So with cybersecurity, we want to start with your cybersecurity posture. You don't want what is happening on this slide to happen to you. A hacker has hacked into the business system, all the way into the payment system, and now they're looting cash from your debit or credit card or your business bank account. And this is all because one or four of the things listed here. Your cybersecurity policy is not up to par. A lot of times with cybersecurity breaches, it's internal. So it's employees, because they're not aware or trained enough to not behave a certain way that creates vulnerability. So cybersecurity employee training is very important to your cybersecurity posture. Deploy security solutions like an Infiltron that's a continuous monitoring solution with some other functionalities, or our regular malware antivirus software that you install on your PC at home, or your company has installed something like that on their servers or in the cloud to protect their data. All in all, cybersecurity should always be first priority in technology. Biometric technology generally refers to the use of technology to identify a person based on some aspect of their biology or something you have. So in the cybersecurity space, we look at biometric data as something a person has, that because everything that we have is unique to us. Even with twins, outside of identical twins with face, there is still some subtle differences in identical twins. But things that we all have that are unique to us are fingerprints, irises for iris scans, facial and voice recognition, Body movements is a new thing being used in biometric technology. We've seen it used in sports to create video games, but now we're seeing it used to verify and authenticate people. And one of the newer recognition technologies is vein pattern technologies. So, for instance, maybe South Africa's airports are using facial recognition to decrease the spread of COVID. So versus you opening the door to your office or opening the door to the lunch area, you are looking at a device that's integrated with the lock and key system of a room or of a building. It recognizes you, it authenticates you, and the door unlocks. Racial equality occurs when equal opportunities are given to people of all races, and that is regardless of physical traits such as skin color. Institutions are to give individuals legal, moral, and political equality. And in biometric, most biometric systems that are coming into fruition have or are using artificial intelligence. And the there's so many great things about artificial intelligence, but some of the cons about using AI is that it perpetuates harmful forms of discrimination, such as racism, sexism, ableism. And ableism is about people that have disabilities. And we see these isms, right, in healthcare, in hiring practices, because some companies use biometric technology when they're interviewing people, and the criminal justice system. So here recently, maybe a couple of months ago, in the city of Detroit, there was an African-American guy who was wrongfully or misidentified by facial recognition software that the law enforcement department was using. So these are some of the things that we are wanting to mitigate issues around. And how do we do that? Because historically, biometric technology was developed by Caucasian and Asian males. This is most evident in facial recognition technology because, as I just explained in my examples, it tends to identify these groups more accurately. And this is because the data sets that are in place that we have are not diverse. They're not inclusive. They don't have a range of races within the data sets. So the facial, particularly the facial recognition softwares that are being used right now, will identify a darker complexion woman. For instance, Serena Williams is considered to be a darker complexion woman, and she was used in one of these tests. If we're using the facial recognition software that is being used today, it will recognize Serena Williams, the tennis star, yes, as a Black male. Now, we know that Serena Williams is a beautiful African-American woman from Compton. And this is implications of racial profiling in biometric technology and inaccurate readings and results in biometric technologies. So here we see the heading, change is a matter of priority, and it is. Largely homogeneous teams fail to prioritize issues that they seldom encounter or interpret as being minor. So if I am a Caucasian male and I don't have other race friends, or I'm not as culturally experienced, so to speak, I'm not gonna know the pain points of a Black man. I'm not gonna know the pain points of an Asian woman. And if I'm creating it, because this is what has happened with the biometric technology that's in place today, if I'm not aware of that, I'm not gonna build it into my technology, unfortunately. So that is why we have issues like Serena Williams being recognized by biometric technology as a Black male and not as an African-American woman. So gender shades this came from Gender Shades. Gender Shades has done some pretty extensive research in biometrics, and especially around the way it detects race and gender. So, you know, these are the type of things that lets us know that there must be diversification within the biometric development team. So the people that are developing this technology should be diverse. It should look like the people that it's going to monitor and detect. So here's another one from gendershades.org. The existing data sets give false sense of performance through poor representation. As I stated, the data sets that have been used with the biometric technologies already in place, they are not inclusive of all races, and they don't give what we call in Infiltron hues of skin color to be able to be detected. And that is an issue around racial equality in technology, period. Biometric technology for sure, because it's capturing our face, it's capturing our movement, it's capturing all those attributes about race and about us to verify us and authenticate us. And if it's in a law enforcement situation, it could be that somebody goes to jail wrongfully, somebody gets killed wrongfully. These are some of the things that the reasons why we need to mitigate issues around racial bias and gender bias in biometric technology. In light of recent events, especially in the US and facial recognition, it shed a lot of light to the general public, because I've had conversations with my family that's not so techie, and now they're starting to understand why I created Infiltron. they're starting to get it. But now the ACLU, which is the American Civil Legal Union here in the United States, had this statement: face surveillance threatens to chill First Amendment protected activity like engaging in protests or practicing religion, and it can be used to subject immigrants to further abuse from the government. Wow. With that being said, with the rise of smart ecosystems to include that, and most of these systems include facial recognition and or other biometric identity systems, smart ecosystems such as smart cities, smart airports, smart transportation, smart homes, smart watches, smartphones. Being anonymous in public is pretty much a goner. You can cancel that. The real questions are, what do we do about bias and racial inequality in existing biometric technologies and currently developing biometric technology? So we saw IBM pull their facial recognition software from the law enforcement agencies that they had licensed to. So I would think that those companies, Amazon and all of them followed suit. I would think that now they're going back to diversify those data sets and make their functionalities around detecting race and gender more accurate. So we get into it. Providing cybersecurity and facial equality in technology. So, of course, we're going to start with the biometric system. How the end user's biometrics will be used, secured, and monitored is very important. I, as a consumer, would want to know what the company does with my biometric data. It is unique to me. I cannot stress this enough. Your biometric information data is unique to you. No one else in this world, on this planet, has it. So if it's stolen, it's going to be very hard for you to be authenticated and verified through a biometric identifying system, because even though you know it's you, but because it's stolen, it is being utilized. How are we gonna know? How? That is a hard place. And one of the issues that come up as I'm saying this is that, you know, what if it's a legal situation, you know, or what if it's a social engineering situation? And social engineering is basically somebody investigating everything about you to infiltrate your company or your personal information. So what happens then? How do you bounce back from that? So that is why it's very important that your cybersecurity posture in dealing with biometric data is hardened as much as possible. Companies should definitely be very transparent with its consumers about these things, how it's used, secured, monitored, if they're sharing it anywhere else. And I am, as you can see, the next point of reference is that, you know, most individuals outside of the military maybe are a little apprehensive about giving away their biometric data at first, as they should be. Then again, we have things like the iPhone where you face in to authenticate and verify yourself to be able to get to your apps and make a phone call or send a text message, right? And I'm sure people that do that with their iPhone, that interact that way with their iPhone, didn't think about it. It wasn't a second thought. It was like, oh, this is easier than me tapping in a 6-digit code. Let me just put my face to the phone and I'm in. And it's pretty fast. One of the futuristic examples I see around biometric systems and data is a baby's footprint taken at birth. Would it be a bad thing if parents could decide if they wanted to house the footprint data with a private firm or with the healthcare system the baby was born in? Just some things to ponder. It's coming. Also, to the end users, you have the right before signing up to question these companies that are asking for your biometric data. If you feel like they're being shady in any type of way, then don't give them your data. Find another company, or, you know, just shop a little bit more for whatever it is that you're looking for that is asking for your biometric data. I am huge on testing. I believe that the United States Air Force did this to me, and I'm grateful that it did, because now that I own my own businesses and they're both tech companies so far, I am huge on testing. And even before I became an entrepreneur, in my system, I was a high-level system admin in some spaces. I was a high-level system engineer, aerospace, satellite stuff. I always went in to break stuff because I was most concerned about finding the vulnerabilities on our side of the table before somebody outside of us did, and then we're caught with our pants down. So I'm really adamant about testing. And as I have spoken on previous slides, the data sets that are used in biometric technologies present issues of getting accurate results. So I would suggest that when you're testing for bias accuracy, for integrity purposes, find companies or an expert consultant to test and audit. Auditing is a big thing that needs to be enforced in technology, period, especially when we're dealing with biometrics. That will audit your biometric system functionalities around race and racial features and gender. Then they should provide you feedback. And one of the things that you could possibly do is kind of like a hackathon. You can do what I'm calling a race and gender bias-thon to, you know, help you see your blind spots, because when you're involved in development, it's things that you're not going to be aware of. It's just a part of the game. So you want an adversary of sorts to, you know, show you your blind spots so you can, you know, cover up or harden or create more tech, develop more tech to make sure those vulnerabilities aren't causing issues in your system. And with biometric technologies and racial equality, in light of the pandemic, a lot of organizations are now having to move to a more IoT, Internet of Things, IoT, smart ecosystem culture. Everybody's working from home. And how are we going to authenticate and verify these people other than seeing them on a video? But then it goes further. We want to make sure that it's them accessing certain spaces, segments within the business system. We don't want accounting looking at the cybersecurity consultant's domain and vice versa. I should know maybe as a cyber, maybe I should use it different. As an administrator, as a receptionist, I shouldn't have access to the accounting department's segment in the business system to know who gets paid what. That should never happen. So with the current terrain of people being more remote and working from home, you want to make sure that if you're using biometric technologies, that these people are verified and authenticated only in the spaces that they are authorized to. So in the smart or 5G ecosystem, because that's what's happening, and 5G is generally making things more real time. This could be a matter of what's going on with data when the system is down, or even how secure it is between two 5G cell towers. Like securing legacy migration practices, secure legacy migration practices are needed when migrating from legacy. And even sometimes we have SLAs that aren't running out, so that creates a hybrid ecosystem. You want to make sure that your cybersecurity measures are able to continuously monitor that ecosystem, whether it's a hybrid and you're moving to a more smart ecosystem, because most organizations fail miserably in getting their security measures tight. And this is due to the lack of a very specific security policy that goes back to, I can't say it enough, cyber security posture is very important, people. When processing biometric data, ensure that the data is collected in a lawful and fair manner. You want to make sure that you don't get caught with your pants down. You don't want to get sued in dealing with biometric data. So when you are transporting, monitoring, detecting biometrics, make sure that you are collecting it in a lawful and fair manner with consent of its beneficiaries, and that the purpose of processing is specified and it's legitimate. Like you have a good reason to move somebody's biometric data from one part of the business system to the other. Maybe they got a promotion. That's just an example to throw out there. In this context, it's important to ensure that biometric data is kept secure, of course. But here we are. It needs to be secure on the technical side of the table, and it needs to be secure on the organization side of the table. Organization goes back to cybersecurity posture. Technically is during development, during the migration, you want to have measures in place that everybody's following throughout the entire process. It also ensures that the data is protected by appropriate measures, as I was saying, against unauthorized modification, tampering, unlawful destruction, accidental loss, improper disclosure, and undue transfer. Because what happened with cloud migration is just that. So, and I'm gonna go into that a little bit here. So as countries like South Africa and businesses, small, medium, and large, make the leap from legacy systems to more AI, machine learning, deep learning ran systems, there needs to be secure practices in place. In the United States, We saw frequent cyber attacks when state and local governments were moving from legacy systems to the cloud. I found that one of the reasons it was so frequent was from the jobs posted on these sites, on these people's sites. For a cloud, virtual engineers, to a hacker, that tells a hacker that, hey, it's a possibility that they're about to do a data migration or migrate to the cloud. So let me start pinging their system and not make a lot of noise, just hide. And when you're doing a migration, it opens you up. That is opening you up to be vulnerable at certain points during the migration. There's some in some spaces you can make sure, you can implement some cybersecurity measures to protect yourself. But there are some spaces and some points in that migration where it's kind of hard. And then if somebody has infiltrated your system prior to the migration, it's too late. So that is why I say, be careful about posting jobs when you're doing stuff around biometrics, especially. And some of the titles you'll see are machine learning engineer, biometric specialist, facial recognition subject matter expert. And what I was seeing was that the date and when the hiring would close is posted on the websites. And a hacker could easily, apply for the job and probe the recruiter. My recommendation when moving to a smart ecosystem is to be smart, right? About what and how you advertise these key positions for your smart migration. If you're using a third party such as Indeed or Hire Now, I don't know what's out there now, have a discussion, that's just honest, have a discussion with their hiring support team about how you want to display these positions on their site. Using real-time compliance and cybersecurity solutions or functions should be one of the staples in technology. One of the biggest things around providing cybersecurity and racial equality in biometric technology is that it should also include real-time cybersecurity malicious detection, malicious tampering. It should securely house and transport biometric data across systems. Period. There's no question about that. What would need to happen is either you hire somebody like Infiltron to do that for you, or you do it in-house. And you have to test that too. You should be constantly testing your cybersecurity posture. One of the things that Infiltron does in real time is provide compliance. We can enforce laws, regulations, standards, protocols, such as POPI, the POPI Act in South Africa, the GDPR. We do have some UK clients, and HIPAA, which is the healthcare regulation entity in the United States. It's a must. And this leads me to the next point of global government enforcement. Governments, federal, state, local, because it all is going to trickle down at some point, should enforce standards and protocols around biometric technologies. Because again, if biometric technology is breached, stolen, it's going to be very hard for the people in that system that have given their biometric data away to be able to be verified and authenticated, unless it's in person. And still, we still have it's so much technology out there. It's still an issue. So my thing is, I feel like government should push this to the point where if biometric technologies don't have racial bias mitigative functions built in, they shouldn't be permitted to be sold or used at all. Oh, and this leads to, this is the AI Harms Index via the Algorithmic Justice League site, and it shows individual harm, unfair practice, and social harms due to AI being used in biometric technology. Just check it out for a minute. Look it over. I am a African-American woman, meaning Black and woman. Gender and race is an issue in biometric technology. These are some of the things that I am up against as a Black woman when it comes to biometric technologies. I might not get hired. I might not get that house that I want. I might not get that car that I want because the credit and financial services. I might get wrongfully accused of a crime that I didn't commit because the facial recognition or the ballistics technologies pinpointed me, and there were 5 other Black females in a 5-mile radius, and because it can't accurately detect us, they pinned it on me. Not fair, not cool. I'm not going to jail for somebody else, and neither should you. The other thing is a government audit process for biometric technology. And what I mean by this is that these systems should be audited by some type of governing body. And if these companies, these biometric technologies companies, don't adhere to or comply, they should be fined. In some cases, maybe in prison. I'm not sure how harsh the different governments are across the world. There some are harsher than others. But I am really with, if my biometric data is stolen and my life is turned upside down because of that breach, then the company that had that biometric information or data, if it was their fault, they should pay out damage for my claim. You know, I feel like that is a thing that should be considered. One of the things that I wanted to make sure of with Infiltron is to hold myself and my development team accountable. And we trademarked some protocols and standards. And I'll let you have a look, a read at it. So biometric technology equality standard. And then we have the biometric legal compliance and governance standard protocol. And it is what it is. It is what it says. Whether it's software or hardware, if it's managing human biometric data, downloadable mobile applications for gathering or manage human biometric data, software for authentication and verification of human based on physiological characteristics, namely racial and gender characteristics, for the purpose of controlling digital and physical access to a secure network. And then we have biometric legal compliance and governance standard. And it's whether it's a SaaS or a PaaS, SaaS, software as a service, or a platform as a service, featuring software platforms for gathering and managing human biometric data to provide enhanced security requirements and mitigation of conflicts of interest and disclosure-based risks in the fields of legal ethics. So it's holding us accountable. And these are the type of protocols and standards governments should implement for biometric technology companies. I really enjoyed doing this because it says so much about the journey that I had of building Infiltron. And I'm grateful to be able to share ways that other companies can provide cybersecurity and racial equality in their biometric technology. Remember this, everybody. Software itself isn't the only way to do this, right? As I've discussed here, it also involves things like the hiring process. Your team needs to be diverse if you're going to create biometric technology, so that in itself will decrease issues around racial and gender bias built into technologies. The legal aspect, so the government has to get involved. I know that Senator Cory Booker introduced the Algorithmic Accountability Act to Congress in 2019. So it's things like that the global government community should implement into practice to hold these companies accountable for this biometric data and for racial and gender equality to be built into their technologies. As stated, thank you so much, AI Expo Africa. I can't wait to come over. Again, I'm Chasity Wright, founder and CTO of Infiltron. You can find us on all social media and our website as well. And again, delegates, please meet me in the speaker lounge for more Q&A. Everyone, be well, be safe. God bless.